And we are live. Welcome to another Super Galactic Saturday. I'm Jerry Sr. with Jerry Jr.
Good morning.
And it's a beautiful Saturday morning once again, although we're full steam ahead into fall. So it's definitely a lot cooler, a lot more overcast, but it's still a beautiful day. You know, any day above ground is a good day. So today is still definitely a good day. And we thank you for joining us. Thanks for checking us out. Thanks for your time. And we're going to talk about a movie that it's an old movie from 1952, right?
Yeah,
Um,
so for context on how I discovered this movie, I have to show you a clip from a cartoon I watched as a kid, just to make a point of how influential this movie was. Do you remember like Fox Kids and all that, Dad,
of
and
course, yeah,
like
definitely,
Four
yeah,
Kids?
yep,
Yeah. Do you remember the Kirby show?
I
Kirby
do,
right back at you. Yeah.
yeah.
So there was a particular episode that I don't remember a whole lot from the Kirby show, but there was always one scene that always stuck out to me from that
Hmm.
show, and I had no idea. And it was for multiple reasons, but I, I kind of found out, years later that it was inspired by one of the most influential movies of all time. So, for context, in this episode, yeah, if you're gonna, if anybody's familiar with Kirby, so the planet's gonna get destroyed by a meteor, and King Dedede, the big penguin man,
Yeah.
it's this guy. He has a change of heart, and he wants to do something nice to. Yeah, Kirby references a lot of stuff. Mecha Missionary, Kirby anime also references Moses, but that's another episode. But anyways, um, so he wants to do something nice for Kirby because he thinks the world's gonna end. So this happens.
Right.
ガビどうだぞいやったでゲス陛下は生まれて初めて人が喜ぶことやったでゲス命短し恋せよででで陛下おいおい公園ができちゃってるじゃねえかってまあ今さら遅いけど
Okay, so
That's funny.
you recognize it, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So
That's a nice little homage, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's nuts because I was like, well, why? And it stuck out to me because um I was like, oh man, he did something nice, but then like I was wondering like why did he build a park and stuff like that, and well, I ended up watching. So obviously, when I first saw this in I s on TV, it was in English, but then I looked up the
Yeah.
thing in Japanese, and he's singing that particular song, and that's when I was confused. I was like, oh, this is a different because it's a different song in the American version, and I kind of found out that the song was from a movie, and that movie was called Ikiru by Akira Kurosawa. Now, I think know, most people who love movies know who Akira Kurosawa is. Um, he made some of the best, action samurai movies of all time. Jimbo, and he made Sanjuro. Uh, Drunken Angel is one of my favorite movies. It is considered one of the first Yakuza films. if not the first.
Yeah.
But a
Well,
whole bunch
I
of
mean,
movies.
Hidden Kingdom, right? Was
Hidden Kingdom.
part of the inspiration for Star Wars, or what I
Oh,
remember.
you mean
Hidden
was it
Fortress, Hidden
Hidden
Fortress.
Fortress?
Yeah. So
Oh
then,
yeah, 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 yeah,
Seven
yeah.
Samurai is our classic westerns like the Good, Bad, and Ugly, and
Yeah, exactly. Seven Samurai.
the Magnificent Seven, and so Kurosawa is incredibly influential, right? We know this
Yeah,
even today, and so it's kind of no surprise, although it's a bit surprising in a Kirby cartoon, right, to see a reference to one of his films. But it's kind of fascinating, and it shows, like you said, how powerful his impact has been on entertainment in general, right? So
yeah,
that's pretty
absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah, and it's I mean it's impact. His impact could be felt from everywhere from westerns to you know Kirby.
Yeah,
you know,
the anime
it's kind of
Kirby.
crazy how Kirby is connected to this. Yeah, but it's just one of that's how important this guy was. But and I grew up on samurai films. I don't know because I want to say because of you, because but because we grew up with Samurai Jack, and
Yeah, something like that
and
was good. Yeah.
yeah, and you told me about well that's just Jimbo and stuff like that, and I was
Yeah,
like
that harkens back to Kung Fu Theater and yeah, all these
yeah,
old samurai movies and yeah, so
yeah,
that's
and
exactly
so and middle school, I would say Jimbo was was probably the movie that inspired me to write my own stories because I've been one of the first original stories I wrote was inspired by Jimbo in middle school. But yeah, so yeah, it's been a big part of my life, and it's crazy how you know the one movie that would end up being my favorite movie is the movie about a guy having a midlife crisis, like a social worker having a midlife crisis, and not the samurai movie.
you're right of all
Just how
things, right?
yeah,
Especially when you think of Kurosawa, you do think mostly the action, right? The Seven Samurai and Hidden Fortress, and
yeah,
you're not thinking something like this, which is highly sentimental and quite poignant and compelling, really.
yeah.
I kind of wonder, it's 52. I would imagine this was after his samurai movies, and
Oh,
right. So that's what
actually,
I'm wondering.
Your Jimbo came out in 1961.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Hidden
What
Fortress came out
about
in 58.
what about
Seven
Seven Samurai?
Samurai came out in 54.
Interesting. So this precedes. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah,
That
so a
makes
lot
it even
of
more
earlier
fascinating. Yeah.
movies, um, like his first a lot of his earlier movies were more like dramas. So Drunken Angel uh, was a Akira Kurosawa movie, and that was the sort of the debut of Toshiro Mifune, who would soon become uh, he was essentially the Japanese Clint Eastwood, right? He would become Yojimbo in the later movies or
Right.
Sanjuro, whatever. But yeah, he started off in Drunken Angel, which was this movie right here. It's a movie about a yakuza with tuberculosis, and he's dying. That seems to
Wow.
be a common theme.
More another death theme. Yeah. So
Yeah,
let's get into the movie and like we both watched it. It's a 2 hour movie. So
I
it's a
mean,
long.
listen.
It's a long. Actually, it's over
Here's the
2 hours.
thing. Listen. I don't have a problem with a movie being 2 hours if the story is good. Like 2 hours doesn't seem all that. I'll be honest. 2 hours doesn't seem all that bad for me, right? If we're talking
No,
about like a
it's
movie,
if it's good, it's not bad at all. And this movie is good. It really
yeah.
is. Um, I have to admit, I
So
was kind of hesitant.
I want to hear what you think before I say anything,
Yeah, I
because
was a bit
it's hard to
hesitant,
get you to watch anything without
especially right. And
subtitles.
that's what I'm getting at. I was hesitant because of that. Like I'm like, okay, we got an old movie. It's over 2 hours and it's subtitled. And it's like, okay, I don't know, but I started watching it and I like how at the very jump of the movie, how they introduce the main character. They tell you immediately that he's dying, and he's
Yeah, Mr.
sitting at
Watanabe. Yeah,
Mr. Watanabe, yeah, and he's sitting at his desk, and it's kind of starts off with this monologue, where they are telling you about this character and the premise, basically, and you're like, oh, okay, and then it proceeds to show you sort of a day in the life of Mr. Watanabe, and he's basically a bureaucrat. He works for the government, for the state. He sits at a desk and basically checks boxes and stamps forms, and it's just bureaucratic hell, really. And but he seems somewhat content with it, right? He makes no effort to go beyond, right? To do any extra work, to feel any passion for it, or to
yeah,
or to make it meaningful, right? He's just a cog in the machine, and
right.
he's perfectly fine with that. And that's the impression I got, in the first, sort of intro to this character, is that he's fine doing what he's doing. He's not complaining. It, you know,
Yeah,
he's not stressed out. He's not even claiming to be overworked per se.
right.
And it's kind of a fascinating commentary on, like, even though it's 1952,
I know
um,
it's still
it's
so
it,
relevant, right?
yeah, it's
Because
quite relevant to today. And being where I am, like, it's interesting you're seeing it as a young man, right? But I'm looking at it as an old guy, right? I'm over 50, and I'm looking at this movie, and it really struck a chord with me because a lot of the themes in it, about him and his job and finding meaning, finding out, and spoiler alert, he finds out he's going to die. He
yes,
has this stomach cancer or whatever,
yeah,
and finding that out changes his perspective dramatically, like a complete 180. And all of a sudden, he starts to actually care about his life and to care about, like, what have I been doing for the past 30 something years, whatever,
yeah,
working? I haven't done anything meaningful, and I don't matter to anybody, right? And
yeah.
you
On
see
top
this,
of that, his wife has passed away, and his son
yeah,
and his
yeah.
daughter-in-law live with him, but the relationship is mostly hollow. Like they talk about him
Yeah,
behind his
it's very
back, but
shallow. They
yeah.
don't really respect him. It's pretty,
Which
it's
is
pretty
which is sad
bleak.
because we see flashbacks of like him and his son as like a young man and stuff, and he definitely tries, right? Like he's there at his baseball game and stuff like that, and you know he sees him when he gets sent off to
It's
some kind of
Yeah, and you can tell he cares about his son, and his son cared about his dad. But at some point, and I think it's centered around the loss of the mother, and the wife,
yeah,
that they became more estranged and distant. And the
yeah,
son, they don't really communicate, because even though he finds out he's dying, he doesn't even tell his son or his daughter-in-law. Like,
yeah,
he tries. There's a scene where he tries, and the son, because of a misunderstanding, starts kind of,
yeah. He
shaming
starts
him,
berating him. Yeah,
yeah, berating him with all this, thinking he's correcting his father, and he just gives up and doesn't bother. And I thought, man, and it's kind of frustrating. Like, for me, I was frustrated because I felt like, just tell him. Like, all this drama could be avoided if you just tell him, But the way it ended, I realized it was probably better that he did, because it probably would have played out very differently
yeah,
otherwise, insofar as his relationship with his son and
right.
his in-law. And so I thought, like, even the young girl that ends up, it's his coworker, and he ends up getting to know her better, because she's gonna quit. And that was another turning point too. Is
Oh yeah, Toyo. Her name was Toyo.
Yeah, seeing how she was gonna quit because she's young, she's at the beginning of
Yeah,
her career. But she acts kind of like a mirror character of him,
she
but
is.
she's the
Yeah,
opposite, where it's like she starting off, she's at this comfy bureaucratic job, right, working for the state. and she's like cracking jokes while everyone's very stuffy and very conservative,
Yeah.
and she's like more lighthearted, right? And she realizes this is boring. I don't like this. It's
I don't
not,
belong here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't belong here. I need some, and she ends up working at a factory where she's
Yeah.
making toys.
Yeah.
And she goes, I like doing this because I feel like, I get to play with the toy and I'm making something that's bringing happiness to other people, to other children. So it's like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
playing
She
with all
says.
these children,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
like it's like I'm affecting so many lives by making this beautiful thing. So for one, she's making something, physically building something that has meaning and that's going to have great meaning to many, many people, right? To all these
Yeah.
children in her country.
Yeah.
So she sees like a deeper, like even though she may not even been making as much money, but that's indicated later when he sees her stockings and she has all these holes, and he can see
Yeah.
like she's not wealthy, and but yet here she is saying, I'm not going to waste my life in this bureaucratic hell, basically.
Well, I think it's important to point out because even before Mr. Watanabe meets Toyo, he tries to sort of live it up, so to speak,
Yeah, I was going to get to that because I thought
through
that was fascinating. Yeah.
what's it called? Through just going out, not out of town, stuff like
Well,
that.
he meets the writer,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And the writer has a bit of sympathy for him, and he starts to relate to him because he's like, yeah, I see what you mean, because he's feeling and demoralized himself because
Yeah,
his career is not where he wants it to be as a writer.
right.
And so he's like, look, and Mr. Watanabe's like, I got X amount of dollars, like 50,000 yen or something, right? He's like, I'm going to spend it and, do something. And he's like, okay. He's like, can you tell me what to do? Like, cause he's like, I don't know what to do. I've never lived. I've never partied. I've never traveled. I've never done anything meaningful for all these
Yeah,
years. I don't know what to do. So the guy's like, okay. So they decide we're going to get drunk and paint the town red, and we're going to go to clubs and nightclubs and bars and dance halls, and
yeah,
that's what they do. And the guy's like, it's on me, so he doesn't even want to spend his money. And it's all kind of, you see at the end of it, they spend this night, this wild night, and you can see he has fun a little bit here and there, right?
yeah,
But ultimately, it ends up being kind of like I'm empty. I'm still empty inside because it was meaningless. It's like, and it's a good lesson in that when people, it reminds me of another show I saw. It was never aired. It was like this pilot, but it was about a
okay,
guy, a story. It featured a story of a guy who found out he had about 6 months to live. Right, I think 6 months to a year. And so what he does is, in response to that, he cashes out all of his savings, all of his money. Just he just gets cash. He has thousands of dollars in cash, and he goes out and does literally what they did in the movie. He goes and he's going to bars and strip clubs and all this kind of stuff. And it was quite tragic because at the end of it all, he spent his last moments in front of the camera. I mean, just weeping and saying, like, what was the point of all? Like, I worked hard all my life. Because he was around like approaching 40. So he had already lived
okay,
and worked. He's already middle aged, and he's like, what was the point? Now I'm just going to die. And the sad part for me, like as a Christian, I was like sad that he didn't come to know the Lord. That would have gave him the meaning he was seeking, right? But it's like it made me think about that with Watanabe because it kind of proved that point. In real life, this man
right.
did exactly what Mr. Watanabe did, and he found it. He was still found wanting, right? He was like, it's still not enough. It means nothing to me. Like I had all these
Yeah,
strippers and these women. I bought this fancy car, and I went to this place and that place, and it still meant nothing because he's still going to die, right? His
right.
soul was still empty, and that's kind of what you see in the movie, where at the end of it, he's still, and all it does is create a bit of scandal, because he was out all night
Yeah.
and he didn't come home and all this stuff. It does nothing for
Mhm.
him. But then when he spends time with, I forgot her name again, the coworker.
Oh, Toyo.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I told you, she comes along and she tells him quitting and all this. And this is funny because from her perspective, it was kind of his fault, right? Because she's like, all the years that I've been there, you've never taken a day off. You never called in sick. And then the one day you call in sick, it's like, wow, right? and it
Yeah.
kind of got her going. Yeah, I don't need to be. You know what I mean? Like and you remember she was talking about the nicknames of the
Yeah, yeah,
coworkers,
yeah.
you know, and she
Called him a
called
mummy.
him the mummy, right?
Yeah.
Because he was dead, right? Like and it's ironic because she didn't know that he was dying, right? She didn't know at this point that he's dying. They're just having
Right.
conversation, and so she calls him the mummy, which I thought that's pretty ironic because he is dying, like a mummy is dead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's kind of
He had
fascinating.
no
Like,
idea.
and so the irony is that he spent his life living, but he was still dead, right? He was dead
Right.
inside. But then when he finally got the news that he's dying, all of a sudden he wants to live, right?
To add to your
So,
point about the parallel characters and stuff like that, Toyo in many ways is frustrated with a lot of the same things that Watanabe is. Because if you notice in the
yes,
background
that's right.
when
Yeah.
she gets kind of suspicious about why he's hanging out with her so much, and all that time in the background, we see somebody celebrating their birthday with all their friends and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right. Yeah, that's
And
exactly right.
it's a
Yeah.
very subtle thing. Like they
It's not
don't
it's not
point to.
ham-fisted, but it definitely drives the point home because they're in a
Yeah,
restaurant and
yeah,
it's kind of
exactly.
upstairs, I guess, from them.
Yeah,
And so you can see the celebrations, all these ladies, they're like, oh, right there. And they have a
yeah,
cake, and so you can tell, oh, it must be a birthday or something.
yeah.
And she's looking at it, and you can see that that's something she desires.
Yeah,
Even as a
because she
young
doesn't really
woman,
have any friends outside of
yeah,
Watanabe.
she doesn't have any friends. She's very poor. She mentions that she's living in a house with like a lot of her family members. I guess like they're
Yeah,
they're not exactly in a great situation, and
yeah,
that was kind of the twist, between her and then he had Mitsu Watanabe. He has a nice big home. It's big enough for him to share with his son and his wife. Like he has
yeah,
all this space, and he's well off. He has a servant, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
he's doing well, right, for his being a bureaucrat, and that's kind of what her future would be, right? It's like she would end up with what he has, but then she would be like him. She would be another mummy, right? And that
right.
was kind of the point. It's like she wasn't, and even like he's like buying her. He bought her new pantyhose and all this stuff, and clothes, and feeding her. And but the thing is, she wasn't trying to use him or anything. And you could see in that scene, she didn't really care necessarily, right? It was really about that connection she desired when she saw the other people having the party
Yeah,
and they were celebrating their friend and they sung happy birthday. It was
yeah,
like, oh, that's what she wants. She wants family. She wants friendship and connection. And that was part of like her hesitation with Mr. Watanabe, right? It's like, you're an older man and all this stuff, and it looks bad, especially from a cultural perspective, right? But at the same time, it's like he was giving her what she desired, which is connection.
yeah,
They both desired the same thing. That's kind of made her a mirror character, right? So it was a fascinating dynamic, and it was done very well. Um, and these characters are very lovable. Like she was a great cast. I don't know the actress, but I thought she was a great cast. She acted
oh
well,
yeah,
very
yeah. She
likable.
was very nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was
she was
really
a
sweet.
great character, and so was Mr. Watanabe. Like his
Yeah.
his
So shout
acting.
out to So the actor for Toyo is her name is Miki. I'm trying to remember her last name. Miki Odagiri. And I don't know what else she was in, but I know the actor for Mr. Watanabe, Takashi Shimura, very famous actor,
Okay.
and he was one of the scientists in Godzilla. He was one of the guys in
Yeah,
Godzilla
that's right. Yeah, yeah, that's
movie,
pretty cool. Yeah, I
which
like
came
that.
out a little later. He was
Yeah,
Doctor Kyohei Yamane. So
fascinating.
really, he's a really big actor.
Yeah,
Mr. Shimura. So shout out to Shimura. He did a good job playing that character. Um, I mean, he's a really good actor. I'm trying to think because I recognize his face, and they're mainly from Godzilla, obviously.
yeah.
But he's
I
been
know
in a lot.
he has a familiar face, right? I was
Yeah,
thinking the same when I was watching the movie, and like he looks so familiar, but I can't put my finger on it. And
most
then you
likely
went to Godzilla, and I
Godzilla.
thought, okay, but then there's more. I bet you there's other movies.
Oh, I'm sure
If you
there
go
is, yeah,
before to find them, it's like, oh, that's the guy that was right.
because he's in other Kurosawa films as well.
Yeah, so I know I've seen him before. But overall, yeah, the story is very compelling and it's very beautiful. And the reason why the scene in Kirby is relative to this movie is that in the end, towards the end of the movie, when after he encounters his coworker and they have their sort of revelations about each other, he does eventually tell her that he's dying. But when she tells him, and this scene is kind of part of that, where she's holding the toy, the little rabbit, and
Yeah,
she's telling her how she finds joy and satisfaction in her job
yeah,
making these toys because it brings happiness to other people, to the kids in their community. And so he realizes, like, what in my job can I do to do the same thing?
right,
And
exactly.
he goes back to work with a kind of renewed passion, where it's
So I
like,
just want to point out
yeah,
before, because you know, as soon as he sort of finds a new purpose, that's when they start singing the Happy Birthday song in the movie. So it's
yeah.
like it's a
Well,
sort of a rebirth.
actually, he was that the that's the song in the clip, right? In the Kirby clip. That wasn't he singing that early on with when he went out on the town
Yeah,
with
we went out to the party. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I'm just
remember
I'm just
because
saying during
that's when
the.
he first sang it was at that party
Oh, you're talking
because
about that song? Oh, okay.
yeah, wasn't that the same song? That's the same song,
No,
isn't
no, no,
it?
no.
Oh, it's not.
So when
Oh, it sounds
he's
very
talking to
similar.
Toyo, when he's talking to Toyo at the restaurant, once he finds that new purpose, that's when the kids in the background start singing "Happy Birthday."
Oh, right, yeah, yeah. I see
So
what you're saying.
it's sort of a
Okay, I see.
symbolizing his rebirth,
That's right. That's a
right?
very good point. Yeah, that's
So
exactly when you
it's
find
kind
kind
of
of
a
got that.
frosty snowman kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah, it is funny because yeah, that's exactly right. And he leaves her there,
yeah,
and it's like she already had her kind of rebirth because she left the job. Like she's like,
right,
I'm not
exactly.
going to
Yeah,
stay here. And then he realizes, oh, okay, I need to go.
yeah.
It made me think of Booker T. Washington. I don't know if anyone's ever read his book Up from Slavery. It's a
Oh,
great
really?
book. And one of the stories in the book he talks about is kind of this parable, so to speak, about people trapped on a boat and
Oh, is it
they're
the?
thirsty they're looking for help, right? And they don't realize they're sitting in fresh water, right?
Right,
Until another boat comes to the rescue and they shout out, "Cast down your bucket where you are." Right. In other words, you're looking for water and sustenance, but it's right below you. You're in a freshwater pond,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Like you're not in the middle of the salty ocean. You're somewhere where you can survive. But they didn't realize it because they were looking outward for help. And that's kind of what it came to mind with the story and Mr. Watanabe is that ultimately you think at the beginning when he finally misses the day of work that he's never going back. He's going to go party or he's going to go travel the world or he's going to do something else
right,
except go back to work. But yet that's literally what he does. He goes back to work. Yeah.
right.
So it's like it's the idea of cast down your bucket where you are. In other words, he realized that the meaning that he was searching for was already there, right? It was him cutting through the bureaucracy that he
Yeah,
helped to retain and maintain, and saying, you know what? Because at the beginning, there's a group of women that come in. And you can tell they're very poor, but they're complaining
right.
about a cesspool that's formed in their community, and it's very obviously, very dangerous and
Yeah,
poisonous. And the bureaucrats are like, "Oh, you got to go to this part." They give them the runaround. Go to this part. Oh, go to this. Go. And nobody ever has an answer, right? It's all
right.
about just rerouting them to some other, and it's just
Yeah,
they end up going in a circle, and then finally they look for Mr. Watanabe, who's like, I guess he's the guy that would approve it or something, or stamp it, right?
yeah,
And that's the day he decided to take a big day. So he's not even there just for them to
right.
complain to. So it's kind of a funny situation. But
Yeah, yeah.
it comes full circle later when he finally decides to go back looking for that meaning, and he decides to help those women. And not only does he
Right.
help them remove the cesspool, but then he pushes forward a project. I think they mentioned it early on in the movie.
Yeah, to build
To build a
a
park.
park.
Yeah, and he's like, we should build the park where that cesspool is. Let's
Right.
clean it up and put the park there. And so at the end of the movie, he eventually passes away. And then
Well,
he
here's the thing. Before
oh,
before
good.
all that, before he passes away, though, it's important to point out that he's a like he's a really stand up guy, right? Because not only does he have to deal with the bureaucrats and stuff like that, and the mayor, but it also has to do with like the yakuza, right? Because they like there's a
Yeah, that's
scene
right. Yeah.
where they try to bully him out of creating the park, and
Right.
it's like it's
Yeah.
crazy because it's like they're just building a park, but the problem is that he's disrupting the
The
sort of
system. Yeah.
status, yeah, the system.
Yeah. They've established this
It's not
bureaucratic
really
system
about the
where,
park.
yeah, nothing really gets done because they don't want to spend money, or there's interested parties like the deputy mayor and the
Yeah,
yakuza that they have an interest in maintaining that bureaucracy, right? For whatever reason, they don't
yeah,
get that deep into what the why. It just
yeah. The
is,
why
right?
doesn't really matter. Yeah,
No, not really. It's just the fact that that's just how things are. And it's
yeah,
about going, it's like he was going with the flow the whole time. Nobody cared. But once he started saying, hey, we really should do this, it's the right thing to do.
yeah,
Now all of a sudden, he's being threatened and he's being,
yeah,
bullied and all this stuff. And it's kind of fascinating. And the way they went about it, which kind of surprised me towards the end, because they had him pass away. So he goes
yeah.
back to work, and then the next scene, he's dead.
Yeah, he's
And then,
yeah, it was
and they're-
nuts.
yeah, and they're showing his funeral. So they're having his funeral at the house, and all these bureaucrats are there from his job and from the mayor's
Yeah.
office.
And here was the worst part is that they took the deputy mayor took credit for building the park.
Yeah, he took credit for the part, and there was everyone kind of just went with it. Just once again, right, going with the flow, right. That's the theme here, one of the themes. And so, except for one person who was
Yeah.
like, you know what? It's really the people are saying it was Watanabe that built the
Yeah.
park.
That was yeah.
And the deputy mayor took offense to it. Even the press, remember the press was there. And
Yeah.
one of the reporters asked that question about it. Like, you didn't acknowledge Mr. Watanabe. The people are
Yeah,
saying
he wasn't
he's
even
the
at the
one.
ceremony.
Yeah. And he was like, oh, that's ridiculous. It was already in process. The wheels were turning, whatever. He had very little effect on the part getting made. He just did his job, right? And then he goes into the funeral and he reinforces that point, right? He starts going in about how, it really wasn't him. It was, the fact that, oh, well, we were working on this way before, he was a part of it. And,
Yeah.
and
And
everyone's kind
also
of like,
it's important to
yeah,
keep in mind all while they're doing all that, the moms come into the funeral to pay their respects to Watanabe.
right. And that's
Right?
that's
All
the
the
that's
moms
the part.
and that's when everybody they can't even look at the moms
That's what I'm gonna
because they
say.
know
Like,
better. They're like,
this is
oh man.
after they said all that. This is so documentary comes in and has the nerve, the gall to sit down, right, and paying so-called respects, and he says this whole diatribe. And like I said, the one lone bureaucrat speaks up and he kind of challenges that narrative. Says, "Yeah, I think he really was. He really did make a difference. Don't you think he? It goes further, but." Then after he says that, he says, "No, that's not true." Basically, that's what the deputy mayor is saying. He had nothing to do with it. Then these women, and I believe it's the same women from the
It's the
beginning
same
that were
women. It's the
complaining.
same yeah.
They
It's
come
the
in and
same
they're
women.
weeping and they're bringing gifts and they kneel down and they pay homage to Watanabe. And it's like it's a powerful moment because you can see the embarrassment on their faces, right? They can't
Oh
even
yeah.
look at the women. They have to look away and pretend they're not, because it's like after they just got through saying he had nothing to do with the park, and they come in and these are people from the community,
Yeah.
right? And
Exactly.
they know
They don't
that
even speak to the mayor.
yeah, they don't even acknowledge the deputy mayor or anybody else. They simply come in and pay their respects and then they leave. And so that says volumes, right? It's
Yeah.
a beautiful scene. I thought, okay, now I understand why they did it this way. Because I was like, man, they just skipped over all. I thought I was going to see him like having arguments and demanding this,
Well, we do, but it's through
which we
flashbacks.
do. Yeah, it's too fast, man, and it's not even what I pictured because a lot of
Yeah.
it, and I guess this could be speaks to their culture, the way
Yeah.
the Japanese culture, but he wasn't bombastic or
No. He was very
or
respectful the whole
he's very
time.
respectful, and you can tell he just compelled them. He was appealing to their conscience, right? He was saying, "Please do this, do the right thing," right? He was compelling them, and every scene it was just him basically just being very reverent and respectful and just saying please
Yeah.
I implore you, right? Like, and it's kind of fascinating. And finally, it took time. It took the
One of my
whole six
favorite
months that
scenes.
he had left.
Yeah.
That's the thing, to note. It took the whole 6 months that he had to live to finally get it. That's why he died by the time it was done. Right? It was like it took the entire time, but yet he did get it done. But it was just him, compelling them
Well, I
to
want to
do
get to
the
that
right thing.
the part little later, but one of my favorite scenes is when one of the guys reflects on the fact that he would always go to visit the construction site,
That's right.
and when at one time it was like he passed out or something, and
Yeah, that's right.
all of the moms came out of the woodwork to
Yeah,
give
they
him
help
water
him.
and
Yeah,
food and stuff like that, and he was
yeah,
like, no one's ever done that for a bureaucrat, you know?
exactly. Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I love the way they structured that scene, that funeral, because it made so much sense to do it that way to show how, looking back they realize, like, in other words, it's this sort of stubbornness, right? That they had to overcome it. Just because remember they were debating about, did he know he was going to die? Oh, he didn't know he was going to die, and all this kind of stuff. And
Yeah,
they finally conclude, yeah, he did know.
yeah.
And then
Well,
what do they
also,
do? What do they do? They go, you know what? From here on out, we're gonna do our jobs to the best of our ability. We're gonna make the most of, right? Inspired by Mr. Watanabe. And after coming to that realization, like, life is short. Make it matter. That's basically the conclusion. You
here's
know.
the sad part is that they did all the talking right during the funeral, but then when we see the next day and they're
Yeah,
back to their usual
they're
plan.
right back to except for one.
Yeah, except for
Except
one.
for one. And that was the one that spoke up. Remember?
Yeah,
And he stood up. Remember, he was like, all right now, remember, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I thought, okay, that's interesting. And
But
it's
that's
like,
the thing. But it's like
no
some
good.
people, a lot of them, like a lot of, and it speaks to kind of our nature. It's like we
Right.
always say we always want to do better,
But then when it comes
or
down to doing
we
it,
always want to do better. You know,
yeah, we
it's
drop the
like
ball. When it comes to taking action, a lot of
yeah,
times we drop the ball. Like we'll say all these great things, just like they did. We're gonna do this. We're gonna, Then when it came down to it, someone
yeah,
comes in. Oh, I need this, and it's like, oh, just go to the window, whatever. It's like, oh,
yeah.
here we go again. We're giving them the runaround.
But
We're keeping
Watanabe, he
the
didn't really
bureaucracy
say
going.
anything. He just did it. You know.
He just did it, and that was the difference. Is
But I
he
want to, yeah.
no good?
Well, I wanted to point out about his death, right? Because um, it's the police that comes in that tells him this, like, if he knew he was going to die, where he, because
Yeah,
the most obviously the most famous scene in the movie is him swinging at the park.
yeah,
And keep
that's
in
right.
mind, this is like in the snow. It's
Yeah, it's
completely it's
sold out. Yeah,
yeah, it's cold out, and so he could have survived, right? But he was out in the snow. He already had a health condition, and he's essentially freezing himself to death. But it's one of
yeah,
those things where
yeah.
it's like he did what he set out to do,
Yes,
and
exactly.
he
Yeah,
was finally satisfied with his life,
he was
and he
content.
was essentially going out on his own terms.
Yeah,
So it's not like a like a uh, oh, I don't want to live anymore kind of thing. It was like,
no,
you know,
it was him
my
accepting
life,
his fate. Yeah, he
yeah,
accepted it. Yeah,
because he could
because
have
throughout
went
the
to the
movie,
hospital right afterwards, but he
yeah,
stayed in the park.
yeah, he throughout the movie, it was him constantly rejecting that he was dying and trying to figure out, what can I
Yeah,
do to make it to matter. And finally, when he had the epiphany, thanks to his coworker, he pushed through and got the park made. And it's like, okay, I've done something meaningful. I've made people happy. And he was content. He was ready to accept that he was going to die, and he did. And that's what the officer was talking about when he saw him in the park, and he thought, oh, he's just some drunk. I'm not gonna. He didn't recognize him.
yeah, I
He
didn't
didn't know,
recognize him.
at the time. And looking back, that's where he showed up to the funeral, and he's like, man, I feel so bad. And if I had done something, like arrested him, or then
Yeah,
he would probably still be alive. And that's the thing, the fact that he was expressing that regret because he realized who it was, that this is the man that's responsible for the park. and
Yeah.
and it speaks to the idea of legacy. This is his legacy, his true legacy, right? The fact that
Yeah.
he was instrumental in getting that park made and making the community a better place for hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Right? Um,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what's interesting about. It's definitely a commentary about government and bureaucracy, red tape and all that, and sort of the laziness of bureaucrats, right, and the aloofness and uncaring attitudes that they tend to have. And here he is because he realized, my life is ending. What have I done that matters? And he
Yeah.
finally done something that mattered to a lot of people, and it sheds new light on the idea of like, what are we really doing here? Like there's a lot of subtext in this movie in relation to that. Like, what is government for? Why is it here? And like, if you're working in government, like, are you doing the best to your ability, doing your job to the best of your ability? Are you trying to affect
Right.
change in a positive way? Are you trying to make a real difference through the operation of your job assignment, right? And the reality though that we understand, and that's what the movie reflects, is that most of the time that's not the case. Right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, and the bigger the government, the bigger the bureaucracy, and the less that gets done, right? And
Hmm.
so yeah, it's a powerful, and this is 1952. Just imagine
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
this is a this is a reflection of their time, right? That's what a lot of movies and music is. So
Yeah.
just imagine if this is a reflection of their time then, the idea of bureaucracy and lazy government and useless government. Just imagine how bad it is today. You know,
Yeah.
like we see it play out all the time. Like you just turn on the television or log into an app, and you're going to see so much commentary and reports of just how inept government is most of the time. You know, uh, it's unfortunate. So this should be a cautionary tale to those bureaucrats. Like, hey guys, be a Mr. Watanabe in a world full of bureaucracy, right, and red tape. Be a Mr. Watanabe. Cut through the
Yeah.
red tape and get something done that matters and that helps people. So, but overall,
Absolutely.
I give this an A+ as a movie. Just as a story, I give it a A- for production, just because in my just being critical. A lot of the
Yeah.
scenes was just so long and kind of drawn out. That, and I'm serious,
Well,
like, and I mean,
I
and part of it is I think it's just the desire to really have you sink into the subject, right? To really push the emotion of the scene. Because some of
yeah.
the scenes they're long, but there's no one saying anything. It's just a scene. He's like standing there, or he's on the steps, or and other
Hmm.
characters as well. So I'm sure it was a technique to kind of drive the
Yeah. It
story.
was purposeful. Yeah.
But yeah,
For the
yeah,
for action.
exactly. It was intentional. But I would say if you can just cut some of those scenes a little shorter, right, to get a more concise movie, But overall, the movie is very entertaining. A
Yeah.
lot of great
I
characters.
didn't mind
And
it,
it's a
and
beautiful
although to
film.
be fair, I did fall asleep 10 minutes into the movie when
10
I
minutes.
first saw. But I did. But
Lightweight, man.
I know, right? But once I woke up, the rest of the movie was great. I didn't mind. I think I didn't mind the when certain scenes were drawn out, especially towards the I guess I want to say the end of the movie, because that's kind of where all the drama was. And
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Like that, the towards the end with the funeral scene, especially that was, I think that was great that it was drawn out more because it was about them coming to that realization that basically
yeah,
getting past their own bias and self delusion.
yeah, and
That's really
ego.
what it was. Like it was them getting over their own bias, their stubbornness, and their self delusion, and realizing, yes, he did know he was dying, and yes, without him, this park wouldn't have been made. Like
Yeah,
those are the two truths that they finally came to grips with, especially after the deputy mayor left. Right, once he left the funeral, they had that
yeah,
conversation and really fleshed it out, and it was like, yeah, like he was instrumental. Like it wouldn't be
yeah. He
done
was
without.
him.
Yeah,
It was that guy.
yeah. So
Yeah,
so yeah, it's like that. I didn't mind being, long because it should have been like those. It's a compelling sequence of events. But early on, and even towards the middle, it's like, it doesn't really need that long.
yeah.
You
I mean,
got
to be
something to
fair,
see.
early on, I didn't mind it, especially with the whole the runaround scene where it's just a cycle of go to this department, go to that department, go to this
Yeah,
department.
that's true. That was
That
actually
was
one of the
funny.
funnier scenes. Yeah, and
Yeah,
I was like, man, they're just giving him the
I was
runaround big time.
like, I hate this so much.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I can.
Too
Like
real.
now, thank God we have telephones, and but it's the same. Like you just get
I
the
don't know.
number.
I feel like
Yeah.
telephones don't help anymore. But yeah,
Like they're physically walking in and being sent to all these different
yeah,
places in the
yeah,
building. Yeah, it's like, they're just wasting their time. So
yeah.
it
It's
was,
awful.
that was awful. Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, overall, this is a great movie. I highly recommend it if you're looking for like an oldie but a goodie. And if you got 2 hours, maybe on the weekend, I recommend watching it. It's a good movie, and part of the reason why is he discovered this movie through Kirby, but also because it's good to look back at what was good, right? So
Yeah,
we don't forget what's good and what's quality versus today. There's so much out there, and unfortunately, a lot of stuff gets money thrown at it, and it's really not good. So
yeah,
let's not forget, like there's some classics out there that have truly affected the culture overall, not just here in this case, just Japanese culture, but Western culture in general, right?
yeah. And speaking of
Pretty
culture, like,
powerful.
don't be afraid to watch. You know, stop being afraid of subtitles. I don't know what to say. It's like
Well, I'm not
it's.
afraid of them, but I just don't like them.
Oh, I'm not talking about you particularly, but a
No,
lot
but
of
but
people.
I'm one of those people. It's like I'd rather not have it, but it's only because I want to be able to be immersed in the movie.
Oh yeah, for it.
So
When I say
and
don't be
subtitles kind
afraid,
of take you out, in my opinion. It takes me out because now I got to
no, I mean,
take time
that's
to
fair.
read and understand the
When
scene.
I say that, I mean what I really mean is don't be afraid to uh, indulge in cinema from different cultures. Is more so what I
No,
mean.
I
Because
agree,
a
and
lot of
even
people
subtitles, yeah, like just go with it. Like I said,
just
watching
like
this, it was
yeah,
good, and I didn't mind it because the story was very good and it was great
yeah,
acting. So I didn't mind the subtitles, and it was very well paced. And that lends itself to it being a longer movie with longer scenes. It gives you time
right.
to really take it in and read the subtitles, all that good stuff.
Because it's not just Japanese films. Like last year or a few years back. Me and my brother we watched RRR, the Indian film,
Yeah, that's a great
and
movie.
that was great.
So that's all subtitles.
Yeah, it's all
But
subtitles,
yeah, I watched that one too. That's like 3 hours, I think, right? That movie is
and
long. It's like
that's in Telugu, Indian.
yeah.
So
So yeah, that's if you haven't seen RRR, you're missing out.
yeah, go watch
Yeah,
RRR. Just
yeah,
go
go
watch it.
go watch that movie. That's a good. You should talk about that one next. But yeah, RRR. I think we did. Did we early on? Maybe. Maybe we can revisit it because that's a
You know
great
what?
movie and it's highly underrated in my opinion. I kind of wish it would get a you know like a dub because I think it would do even better if it did. You know what I'm saying? Like
I mean,
more people
it really.
more people
I
will
mean,
will be willing to watch it because of that. Like
well,
because it
here's the
deserves
thing:
so much
so many
more.
people did watch it. I mean, it was at the. I
No, it
mean, it
did
won
well.
awards.
Yeah, it did well. But that's my point. If just imagine if it was dubbed, it would be a phenomenon, like for sure. Because yeah, it's a great fun movie. It really is. So
Yeah,
you but yeah, but to live, beautiful movie. A lot of great lessons about life and death and
absolutely.
relationships. And even at the end with his son, it's like he finally kind of understood his father a little bit better.
Yeah,
Seeing what he accomplished and the fact that he didn't even tell him that he was dying. Right, he took that pretty hard, and it was like, yeah, um, it's a good lesson about not not being sort of clueless about being more self aware. Especially with your
yeah,
family. And
yeah,
that was the problem is there because there's a scene early on, right, when he comes home from work And I believe this is after he finds out he's going to die, and he's sitting in the
Mm.
dark, and the son and his wife walks in, and they're just kind of casually talking about how, hey, we should go get our own place. And he's like, well, we need monies, and the son's like, well, we can use my father's savings and his retirement fund.
Yeah,
We can just,
it
like
was
they're just talking like, yeah,
crazy.
I can just do that, like. And then they turn the light on, they see his father, and they're like, oh, like they didn't know he was there. They
Yeah, it
realized,
was
oh,
horrible.
he probably heard what we were saying. Basically, like we're just gonna take his money and use it for ourselves. And but
Yeah,
he didn't care, because he's thinking about I'm gonna die, right? And that's
yeah, it was
that's where he
crazy.
should have been able to tell him, but because and then the his fiance, I mean his fiance, his wife
Yeah,
gets upset, right? She's upset.
yeah.
I'm like, how dare you sit there and
It's
listening
like
to our
it's his
conversation?
house.
I'm like, this is like great, but it's like they're so ungrateful,
Yeah,
and they lack a self awareness, right? It's like it's a type of entitlement, right? Like I said, this was 1952, and yet I'm looking around today, and you see a lot of that kind of attitude, a lot of people, this
yeah. Oh
entitlement, and
my gosh!
pretentiousness.
Don't even get me started.
Yeah, so like I said, the movie is quite relevant. Like you're gonna see a lot of cues in it where you're gonna go, "Oh, that's happening today." I can directly correlate this movie with events that's happening right now, and it's right on point beat for beat. So, um, and I mentioned before that it reminded me of that anime. I always forget 'cause I never say it correctly anyway.
Which one?
Um, it's the same similar premise about a Japanese man. He's married, he has kids, he has a daughter.
Oh, is it the
Then
one where he turned into a robot or a
yeah,
cyborg?
the aliens turn him into a cyborg. He finds he's dying. I think the aliens turn him into a cyborg by accident because they
Uh,
accidentally like kill him, like they smash into him or something, and they're like, "Oh man, like
oh
what do
yeah.
we do?"
Oh, Inuyashiki.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Inuyashiki, that's it, and
I mean,
that's a
listen, I
that's a
wouldn't doubt if it was based off. If it was directly based
that's
off of.
that's what I'm saying. I wonder if that was inspired by this movie because the premise is very similar. This just has a
Yeah.
sci-fi spin to it, of course. And the difference is that with Inuyashiki, he just it's basically a antagonist protagonist, right? There's an older man, middle aged, right, and he's married. He buys them a house. They're ungrateful about the house. He works hard. They're ungrateful about
Oh,
that.
there's a movie. Oh my
They
goodness.
really don't respect him, and he's kind of depressed, and he finds out he's dying, and then he gets turned into this cyborg by accident, a very powerful cyborg. And then, I guess, not long after, or maybe around the same time, a young man who's at the beginning of his life, he's in high school, whatever, he gets turned into one as well.
Oh yeah, he becomes a psychopath. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly, because he's poor, and that's the thing. He's poor. He's living with his mother. They're broke. They're about to be homeless. So he's very resentful and bitter because no one treats him well, right? And so he uses his abilities
Wow.
to kind of torture the public
Yeah, he
because
just starts killing people.
because he blames the world for because I think his mom eventually died. I think she passes away because she was sick.
Gotcha.
And so he takes it out on the world. So he's like going around just killing people because he doesn't see the point, right? Because the world was cruel to him. He decides to be cruel back. But in the opposite, in Inuyashiki, he decides I'm going to try to make the world a better place. And so one of the first things he does is he sees a cat, and I think he gets hit by a car or something, and he finds out he can heal, so he heals the cat. Right
Right.
then, he's like, "Oh wow, I can heal!" So he goes to the hospital and he starts just healing people. The hospital, right? And he doesn't take any credit; like he just heals people and he disappears. He just goes away. And so the news is covering like there's a strange person running around, like miracles are happening, right? All this kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
then of course it just escalates over time. Eventually they cross paths, and it's like they're polar opposites. His reaction to this new lease on life is let me make the world better, and the young man's reaction is I'm gonna punish the world for not being nice to me. Right? I'm going to make it worse. And they, of course, they clash. And everything the young man does is to antagonize Inuyashiki, right? To kind of force his hand. He's trying to get him see inside things, right? I'm just gonna crash these planes. But of course, he comes in, intervenes, and he rescues people. And then eventually his daughter is in danger, and he rescues his daughter,
Right.
you know. And it's quite beautiful. And they end up like on the moon. They have a big battle, and they end up on the moon. And I believe he eventually kind of takes him out, like, but he does it with mercy, right?
Right.
It's quite fascinating. It's a beautiful, beautiful story, in my opinion. But in my opinion, it's highly underrated because I don't see it anywhere else like referenced. But it's a great, great anime. It's only like one season, I believe. So, but if
Yeah,
you
I
haven't
mean
seen
that's
that, check it out. Because if you watch this movie to live, then you watch Inuyashiki, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can see the
that's
parallel.
crazy.
Right?
I wouldn't doubt.
So,
I wouldn't doubt if this was directly inspired by that movie.
yeah, I wouldn't either. And I love the twist though that he does survive. He's he's sort of reborn himself, right? Not by necessarily by his choice, but then with that rebirth, he makes right choices. He's like,
Right.
I'm going to make the world better. I'm going to I'm going to help people, and he does. And by the end of it, he gains the respect of his wife and his daughter. His family appreciates him as they should. Excuse me.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah,
That's
it's a great
cool though.
anime. So,
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
yeah, check it out.
I wanted to.
Listen, we can watch it. I'm willing to rewatch it because it's very good. So we can do a watch party or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've seen scenes of it, and I thought it was pretty. I thought it was pretty cool, but I haven't seen the whole. I haven't bothered to watch the whole thing. I
no,
only saw
you
like
got to. It's very good. It's very cool. And it gets way, it starts off kind of slow because they're each kind of doing their own thing. So
right.
it's the story setting them up, right? But eventually they do clash, and it gets escalates really quickly. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a great story, but yeah, to live, check it out. It's a beautiful movie, and hopefully we'll get to review another Kurosawa film as well. Maybe we can do Hidden Fortress or Seven Samurai. I remember watching Seven Samurai and Yojimbo in college in my film class. That's where I was introduced to Kurosawa. So
Okay.
yeah, and it was awesome. Slicing off arms and in Seven Samurai. You're like, yo, yeah. But it was a great film though. So yeah, I definitely would like to do another review of those.
Oh
But,
yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
but
I wanted to bring attention to because you mentioned the song
yeah.
um, that they play in the movie. Oh, also, Mecha Missionary has a fun fact for us. Kurosawa's daughter married the actor for Common Rider Eternal. Oh, cool.
Oh wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Also, Kamen Rider meets Seven Samurai.
I know, right? We need a cross. We need a crossover. Yeah. Now we need the Jimbo. I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of Jimbo reference in Common Rider somewhere. I don't doubt it.
Oh, well, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's in Ninja Turtles. It's in a ton of stuff, media.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I wanted to bring attention to the song that's a central part of the movie because since you brought it up, and I wanted to play my favorite version by Keiko Fuji. She's a very famous enka singer, and she's also the mother of Hikaru Utada, who you may know as a singer from Kingdom Hearts. But
okay,
yeah, if you want to hear the version in the movie, go watch the movie.
yeah,
Um,
definitely, it's
it's a
quite
lot
beautiful.
sad. Yeah, but this is my favorite version. I'll just play a little bit.
命短し恋せよ乙女赤き唇
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's called the Gondola Song, like a boat, like the Italian boat.
Yeah,
They're called gondolas. Okay, that's what. That's what I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
But
I know what a gun is.
oh, okay. I don't know. I didn't know what a gondola was, so I had to look it up.
Oh, oh, okay. Yeah, it's just a boat, usually with a one person paddling and
Yeah,
stands and
I've
running.
seen them
Yeah,
before. I didn't know what they were called. I was like, oh,
yeah,
oh, that
yeah,
makes
that's a gun.
sense. That makes more sense. But funny enough, even though it's named after an Italian thing, the song was written in the Taisho era, so it's very old. So that's like 1912, 1926.
Hmm.
Which fun fact is, I think the same era that Demon Slayer takes place in.
Ah, fascinating. Okay.
Yeah, which is why the main villain looks like Michael Jackson. But that's but I digress. But yeah, it's a very old song, and it was just to translate the first stanza and the reason why they used it in the film. Uh, the lyrics are life is brief, fall in love, young maidens, before the crimson bloom fades from your lips, before the tides of passion cool within you, for there is no such thing as tomorrow after all.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's what he's singing. Excuse me. So that's
yeah,
what Watanabe is singing when he goes to the club.
yeah. And that's the thing. Somebody, I don't. Did he request it? Somebody requested it.
He requested it, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's an old song, right?" And he starts playing on
Yes.
the piano.
Because before he's playing like boogie music. He's like
Yeah,
playing fast
exactly.
domino type
But he
stuff.
starts playing it, and people get up to dance to it. Like the couples get up and they, oh, okay, and they start dancing. Then he starts singing,
Yeah.
and everyone stops and they're watching him sing, and they all just kind of just sit down and they listen to him sing.
Yeah.
And it's been incredible because you would think, oh, I was like, oh, they're gonna just walk out or something. No, they're kind of mesmerized, right? Because he knows the words, and I think that's part of it too. It's like it's an old song, and
Right.
they're like, "Oh, that's beautiful," but he knows the words to the song, and he
Yeah.
starts singing it. And they're like, "Oh," and they sit down, almost mesmerized. And it's actually a
Yeah.
beautiful thing when you think about it.
Well, I think
But
it's the idea of like young people not really, knowing where things come from and the meaning behind
yeah, that's what
stuff.
I'm saying. Like you could tell they didn't realize, and then he's singing it, and they're listening to him sing it, and they're kind of just, wow, okay. And then his emotion starts to come through,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's a pretty heavy scene, and of course, I'm sure in the culture, it's like for a man to sit there and show so much emotion, it's probably very taboo. You know what I mean? Like in public, you know. So
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're
yeah,
saying. Yeah.
it was definitely a powerful scene, I think, but it's like it's almost like they gave him so much reverence, right? Because like I said, they didn't walk out or anything; they just sat down,
Yeah.
and they just listened, and it was like, wow, okay, so yeah, it's a great scene, and like I said, it's a great movie. So check it out. It's on. Do you have the link? Um,
Well, it's part of the Criterion collection,
yeah,
so you could probably get it on DVD or something. Uh, I want to say, yeah, it should be part of the. Am I saying that right? Criterion.
Criteria, probably.
You know what I'm talking about, right? It's
Are you
like
talking about
a
King features or
no, the Criterion collection.
criteria? I don't
It's
know.
like
It doesn't ring a
oh, you
bell.
never heard it? Oh, you never heard? Yeah, it's
I
basically
probably
it's
have.
like a
It just doesn't ring a bell. I don't. I can't
oh yeah,
place.
it's like a distributor that focuses on like important and culturally
Oh,
relevant
okay.
classic
Criteria.
movies and
Yeah,
stuff like
I think so. I know. When you said it, I was thinking King Features. King Features
that. Oh,
Syndicate.
okay.
They do the same thing. They have all these classic movies and TV shows. So I guess it's
Oh,
similar.
okay.
similar dynamic. Okay, that's awesome. So it's
Well, I
available.
think
Yeah.
it seems like they mainly do animation and stuff like that.
TV features? No, they do. They have movies also. They have movies, TV
Oh,
shows.
okay,
Yeah,
interesting.
I'm actually a subscriber to them, so
Oh, nice.
I
Yeah,
got them.
Criterion
I got them.
Collection. Yeah, Criterion Collection is mainly for um, what's it called? Like I said, culturally relevant, like classic films and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah, I think they do this thing. I think it's the same people, but they do this thing online where they call it the Criterion Closet, where like these famous like celebrities come in and they pick their favorite movies from the
oh,
closet
okay.
and stuff
Oh,
like that.
that's good. Yeah, I bet.
And yeah, but yeah,
Okay.
it's so you could probably get it on DVD and stuff like that. And let's see, yeah, Criterion Collection, Ikido DVD. So yeah, get the movie. It's on Amazon too. But yeah, buy the movie on Blu-ray, whatever, however you want to watch it. Um, Great movie. It's my personal favorite Kurosawa film, and yeah, personally I found it very inspirational. It's I watched it initially when I was pretty down on myself, and watching it kind of lit, you know,
Yeah,
uh, excuse me, but it kind of lit a fire under my ass because it was like, yeah, it's like you just gotta go out and do stuff.
yeah.
It's
Just live
like,
your life. Yeah,
yeah, and it was a nice reminder of the things uh, that I sort of value as a as a person and stuff like that. It's sort of a nice reminder of the importance of being selfish and whatnot.
yeah,
And and it's it's hard to do, right? Like it's like even in the movie, it's not easy to be selfless,
no,
and it takes a lot of self reflection, and it takes a lot of going against the grain and stuff like that. You know,
yeah, and really, it requires overcoming yourself, your own insecurities, your own doubts, your own shortcomings, and
yeah,
just under self-reflection. And that's
yeah,
that's really what happened in this movie is it caused him to self-reflect, to look at himself and realize, okay, what have I been doing with my life? And why? And what can I do to change it? Right?
yeah,
And that required him in just accepting who he is. It's like I said, the scene where she was talking about the nicknames was very compelling because he wanted to know, like, yeah, tell me what was the nickname? And she told him the mummy, and he's like, yeah, that makes sense. He was like,
yeah,
and she thought he was
yeah.
gonna get upset, but he was like, no, it's
It's like,
okay. He's like,
no, yeah, I
that
get
makes, he's like, I
it.
get it. That makes sense. I will have been a mummy, and that's him embracing who he's been, and the kind of person he's been relative to that moment. So, but yeah, it's a good movie for that. And overall, it's a great movie. So encourage you to check it out, and you won't regret it. But moving on, one more thing we wanted to kind of discuss, which I think is a interesting topic here. Uh, I shared with you a tweet from um, who was it? Was it John De La Rose? I think.
Oh, are you talking about the tweet about
Regarding,
the Transformers?
yeah, yeah, and it's kind of
I don't know who that is, by the way. I just wanted to let you
he's a writer. He's an author, writer.
know. Okay, his
Writes
name
like
sounds familiar. Maybe because
yeah,
it sounds like Don DeLuise.
yeah, maybe, perhaps.
Oh,
Uh,
I've seen this guy before.
yeah, he's all over Twitter, and you know, seems like cool guy and great writer, I like his stuff. But but he pointed out something regarding, I guess there's a report that Robert Kirkman is in talks to produce like a Transformers series, animated series that's supposed to be adult oriented, right? And you know, the whole idea of like, and specifically they mentioned that it would be in the vein of Invincible. And I thought the first thing I thought when I saw it is that's a terrible idea. I don't want Transformers Invincible version. You know,
Are you talking
or
about?
or G- it's Transformers and GI Joe for the record. So uh, I just don't
Oh
think
yeah, you're
it
talking about this tweet, right? The doing
you
a
can put it up.
oh yeah, hot take: doing adult version of kids cartoons is terrible for our society.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Are you sharing it? I don't see it on the screen, so
Yeah, my
can't
computer
see
was
it.
spazzing out. Which is
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of the gist of it, and I agree with that sentiment. I don't think we need an adult. And when you say adult, right, we're not talking about we don't want to have a Transformers or GI Joe series that is more mature. Um,
I mean, we already had that
expanded
with Michael
expanded
Bay.
drama, and yeah, yes and no. But
I mean,
well,
obviously, but like, come
I
on,
know, but you're
it's
right.
like
I mean, right. I mean,
let's be real.
that was a more adult, you know. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying is,
quote
the
unquote.
problem is the define adult, because you look at Invincible, right, and it's just a gore fest.
Well, it's not even just
You know,
invincible. So it's like
no, it's
so.
not. I'm just saying, but they specifically mention um, Invincible, I believe, in addressing this. So, and that's all I'm talking about. Is it's like yeah, having it be in the same vein of the gritty Invincible series. Like it literally says that, and
Yeah,
that's the problem I have. Is I don't think it should be in the vein of Invincible. Either GI Joe or Transformer. It doesn't. It's not necessary, right? You
yeah,
can tell compelling, gripping stories, action-packed stories without the gore of Invincible. But
yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I think that's the point he's making as well. Uh, John De La Rose is it's like, yeah, we don't need to turn this property that was originally intended for kids, right? That's number one, and that means if it were us, it still is, right? And then say let's throw sex and gore, body horror into it, right? Like no, we don't. That's not necessary. It's not required. It's not going to add to the property in any meaningful way.
Man, it
It's
seems
just
today that all we see is violence in movies and sex on TV. But
yeah,
I was quoting Family Guy, but
I know that,
I
but I agree with that. I'm saying, yeah,
I
you're right.
know.
That's
But
that's
I
that's
know,
it.
unironically, but in all seriousness, okay, so my thing is, uh, I mean, I think we already said it is that usually when they say they're gonna make it grittier, it just means more sex and violence and
Right.
or
Yeah.
gore, I should say. It's GI Joe. It's gonna be violent.
Yeah.
I don't mind that,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's going to be gore though. Like, it's not going to be. It's going to be kill shots to the head, blood splatter, entrails. Like, and it's like, yeah, we don't need that.
I
Like
mean,
that's not required. That's not. That doesn't make it more entertaining. Like Invincible. I'm kind of mixed about the show. I think generally it's good, right? But that's one of my
the
criticisms is
comic's
that
better.
it just that's what I keep hearing too. But it goes so far in with the gore and in the
I
body
mean,
horror type stuff. It's like, okay, I guess it's like it's kind of
I
gets
mean,
old. It's like,
there's a
okay,
lot of there's a lot of gore in the comics. Although I don't know if it's to the same level, but there's a lot of gore in the
well,
comics.
that's my criticism with the
That's
show.
why I mean
So,
there's a very famous panel. I don't know if they did it in the show yet. Where, but it's usually to a point to make a point about how strong the virtual mites are, and not just for the sake of gore and
Right.
stuff like that. Because Invincible, he like accidentally kills somebody, and he was like, "Oh, I thought you were stronger."
Yeah, I remember
Like
that. That was
I
in the
thought
show.
you
Yeah,
could.
that was
That wasn't the show. Okay.
yeah, that was the guy with the big brain or
Yeah, big
whatever.
brain. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
because he
and
kidnapped his mom, so he got
no, I
mad,
get
and he
that.
was
Yeah, and
like,
that's
he
kind of what
went,
I'm saying. Like scenes like that make even the scene where the in the first season where he fights his dad and
yeah,
he's trying to make this point like you're not the same, you're
yeah,
different, you're better, you're special. These humans are nothing, and
yeah,
that was the whole point was to demonstrate just how much he does not value human life. Like he doesn't, the way he handled his son and fighting him and trying to convince him, right?
yeah.
Like, and the fact that it was just wanton destruction. And he's like, I don't care about these people. Like, I don't care. Like, and to me, that was a compelling scene. That's what gave it so much weight
Yeah,
was understanding that all this is happening because he literally doesn't care. Like,
yeah,
there's no qualms whatsoever. He even said, like, I think of your mother like a pet. Like,
yeah. That was
yo, this guy.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like it's my point. So there's a story wise to push the narrative and establish character dynamics. It's like, yeah, maybe that was needed. You follow what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we
Yeah,
kind of need this gore to drive that home. But is it needed in every scene, in every episode, with every fight? You understand? It's like probably not. That's all I'm talking about.
well,
And
here's
it
my
seems that
thing. It's
it's like Watchmen, right? That was kind of similar criticism with the Watchmen movie. Is that a lot of the scenes where you had violence and fighting, like they went. It's like they almost kind of reveled in it, right? When it wasn't required to push the narrative, to drive the narrative. Yeah, understand? Like they kind of reveled
yeah,
in some of the violence, and like the alley scene with the owl guy, uh, it's like
Owl guy.
I forgot his name,
You mean
but
Owl
yeah,
Man?
yeah, oh man, yeah, I don't know why, but you understand? It's like that's what I
Yeah,
mean. It's like was it required? Was it necessary to really ramp up the gore and sort of the morbidness, the violence? It's like no, probably not. Like maybe some scenes could have been left out, whatever. And that's all I'm talking about is, you know, there's a balance and a nuance to it. But with something like Transformers and G.I. Joe, it's like, bro, they pulled it off for the last 40 some odd years
I mean, I don't
without
know how
without
relevant GI Joe
hypersexuality.
has been as Transformers, but I'll just say this:
No,
like a
but
lot of the
with even property, they've managed to pull off successful IPs for the last 40 some years without excessive sex and violence and gore.
yeah,
Adding it isn't going to improve. That's all I'm. You understand? It's like adding that isn't going to make it better, right? It's already where it is. It's already peaked, right?
yeah,
That's kind of my point. It isn't. It just isn't necessary or required, and I don't think anyone really wants it. I think maybe a few people might want that. It's not the majority of fans. I really don't see that. At least old school, like fans like me, like old school people. Maybe younger fans, but I kind of doubt that too. you know, uh, yeah,
no, nah. I mean, unless you want another, if you want a repeat of the 1984 movie, where you're just going to traumatize a bunch of kids, then
right. And that's the other side of it too is
because it's
that's
not,
not
it's not
that's
like,
not that's not being considered either. That these are definitive kid prop. Meaning, yes, guys like me grew up watching this, so we're still fans of it. We still like the comics and all that stuff. But it's still a property for young people, for kids, and you want to convert it into Invincible.
it's like that's a
That's very
terrible idea.
dangerous. Right? It's like you understand. Like we
It's a
don't want.
terrible idea.
Yeah, it's a terrible idea because you're taking something that now they just can't even be a part of it anymore, right? And if they
Yeah,
are, you're corrupt, literally corrupted, right? Like that's ridiculous, right? Why would you do that? So that's kind of how I see it. It's like, yeah, it's not needed. It's kind of done. like someone brought up RoboCop, right? Because back in I guess the '80s, late '80s, early '90s, whatever, there was a RoboCop animated series, and of course, RoboCop, as we understand, is not a kid's property, right? When it first came out, I think it was
And yet there were
PG,
toys.
PG-13. Yeah, yeah, it was. It's like yeah, it's like really mixed signals,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then they made an anime, and it's like okay, so they acknowledge, yeah, kids like this movie or they like this IP, they like RoboCop, you know,
Right, but they made a
and
kid-friendly version of RoboCop.
they
They
did. They
didn't.
made a kid friendly version, and that's kind of what I'm saying is, going the reverse is one thing, right? Saying, well, this might appeal to kids if we X out all the triple X stuff, right? We can get rid of all that and get it down to the core of, like they did with RoboCop, right? It just might
Yeah.
work. But going in the reverse, it's like that's just a terrible idea. Like let the trolls and the I don't know what they're called, the artists that like doing, you know, pinup stuff.
Oh.
Like let's leave that for them to do that and post it on Tumblr and all this stuff, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, leave them to make Optimus Prime, with blood in his hands. Like, leave that to the fans and the art. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
but
no,
these,
I get
these
what you're
stuff,
saying. Like
but
some
don't
things
put it
don't
in
need
the
to be
main.
canonized. I get you.
Yeah, don't canonize it. Don't make it part of the mainstream. Like, and let
Like
that's kind of how I see it. Like, don't
here's the thing:
it's
most
not
people
necessary.
don't like. Listen, most people, I guarantee you, most people like Optimus Prime when he's a Paragon, right? Because
Yes,
and you see that not just on you see that online, but you also see it with freaking Peter Cullen. Like he didn't
right.
like the direction of the
Of the
because
movie from
they
Michael
tried
Bayman.
doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah, the Bayverse or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and he was like, "Well, Optimus Prime wouldn't really say this," you know. Especially when the way he talks about coming up with the voice and how it's based off of his brother who was in the Marines, and he was like, and one of the phrases he taught him, that his brother taught this Marine, was like, "Be strong enough to be kind," and that's how he came up with the voice, right? Like
yeah,
that's a powerful, that's very indicative of Optimus Prime's character, right?
yeah. It is
You know,
exactly.
and it's like and you want to change that to
I don't know.
you
Yeah, like it's like, and that's what I'm saying.
You
It's like
can't do that with
it's no
Invincible. You
different.
just can't.
It's no different than making Superman. Doing the same, making Superman invincible, right? Where it's like every fight is gore and blood and more, this morbidly, morbid battle, you know, and he's got blood all splattered all over him, and he's entrails, and he's ripping guys in half. Like that's not
Yeah,
Superman, right?
yeah,
And it's the same with Optimus Prime. Like that's not Optimus Prime, right? Optimus Prime fights because he has to fight, not because he wants to fight. And that's the point. That's what makes him not only a great leader but a hero, right? And that seems to be kind of forgotten. Like you know, and that's what I'm saying. That's the why it becomes problematic. Like, cause like what is the goal here? Now, it's one thing like in relation to GI Joe, because it's war, right? They're soldiers, right?
yeah. Like I don't really
There may
mind
be
it
some
to an
some some
extent.
leeway, but
Yeah,
remember they did two GI Joe movies without it,
yeah. I
and
mean, they weren't.
they were
They were
okay. They weren't terrible,
well,
but they
go
weren't.
ahead. It was
They
pretty
just
good.
deviated from the personas and the kid. That was the main issue. But it wasn't because it lacked gore or it lacked bloodshed and hypersexuality. Right? It's not because it lacked those things, and it's because they deviated from the property too much. You know. So, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, so it's like it can be done without, uh, making it invincible light or something. Right? It's like no, just do a proper interpretation and tell a good story and everyone will love it, old, young, and old alike, because those are your fan base. Like those are the people that will go see it.
Yeah,
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up and basically throwing my 2 cents. Say yeah, that's a bad idea. Robert Kirkman.
Yeah.
We should do a deep dive in him because he's got issues, and Invincible's kind of a reflection of that.
I mean,
I'm
who's?
serious. He's yeah.
Oh, is he the? But didn't he? I guess he's also working on Transformers, which I haven't read those.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So,
And
I mean, I heard
the
they're good
universe. I'm
actually.
not
So
familiar. I didn't realize he worked on. Oh, they are okay. Yeah, I think. Oh, yeah. Is that the new one? Yeah. I mean, I heard the new ones are good.
yeah,
Um.
that's what I've heard too. Yeah. So I forgot. I think I got issue,
Yeah, because there's a
but
lot of. I
that's,
think
but I'm just
here's the thing. I
commenting on
think if it's
the
the
idea
if it's just
in the vein of Invincible is a bad idea.
well, here's the thing. If it's the same series that I'm thinking of, the Transformers and the new comics that I think we talked about before. Um, those are really good, and I think they handle Optimus Prime pretty well. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's a
I
there's a
agree.
really popular there's a really popular uh, panel where Optimus Prime like discovers Earth for the first time, and he's like appreciating nature and stuff like that, and it's really wholesome, and it's very Iron Giant coded. But there's
Yeah.
also scenes where Optimus Prime has to rip off his own arm to like smack another robot with it. Like it gets pretty brutal in the comics.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah.
I mean, I get why. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing, though. I don't think. Uh, I don't even think that kid, or excuse me, I don't even think that comic is just for adults, right? Like, it doesn't seem like I feel like a kid, like maybe like a teenager or young adult could read it, or yeah, like a teenager, preteen could read it and still enjoy it, right, for what it is.
Right.
Especially considering most kids nowadays are reading Jujutsu Kaisen and stuff like that, and Death Note, and
Right. But even those
Demon.
properties are more for teens, right? They're not. You know,
Oh,
that's
for
the
sure,
real
yeah, yeah.
audience. That's all I'm saying. But like I say, yeah, he's got a track record. Walking Dead and all that, and Invincible. So, and it's like
Well, I
that's
never read
fine. But
Rocky
those are
yet.
like Invincible is a wholly original property. Same, so is Walking Dead. And I like The Walking Dead up to when I think Rick was kidnapped. Basically, after that, to me,
He
it fell
also
off.
made
Went
a
to
Tech
the
Jacket, which I read in high school.
Yeah. So, but it's like these properties, and I mean specifically these properties, Transformers. Yeah, like no, don't bend them to your will, right? Like, it's just like James Gunn and Superman. Like, don't bend Superman into a Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Like, and you
Yeah,
can, and like I said, we mentioned this when we reviewed the movie. It's like it's almost like he couldn't help himself. He had to throw in that James Gunn touch, and it's like okay, but it's like that's not Superman, right? And it's the same thing here, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Don't throw in that Robert Kirkland, don't go overboard. And so far
yeah,
the comics are fine, but that's all I'm saying is that's the fear. It's like we don't need, you know, uh, invincible Transformers or invincible
no,
Jets.
no,
That's what I'm saying. So, certain properties you gotta handle them a certain way. So yeah, that's all. That's my concern with that is like, yeah, man, don't overdo it. Don't try to make it into something that it's not, nor was it ever intended to be.
yeah. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. I mean, yeah. So that's my concern is yeah, don't let
Like,
it be what it is.
my thing is Optimus Prime, and obviously there are other robots in the show, but my thing is that uh, like as long as they don't try to turn Optimus Prime into something like you know, uh, what they did with like Omni Man or something, which I don't think they're gonna do. I think it's gonna be if it's based off the comics, then I don't really have a problem with it because from the little I read with the comics, it's pretty solid, and I
Yeah,
liked it.
yeah, that's what I
As long
keep
as they
hearing.
don't
So yeah, that's all. That's that's really it. So yeah, just keep it within the
just,
guardrails, so to speak.
just respect the brand. That's all.
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah,
all we really want.
respect. Yeah, that's really it. That's exactly right. So, but yeah, that's that's all. I just wanted to touch on that because I'm like, yeah, and I agree with what he's saying. It's like you don't need to turn kids' properties into adult properties. Like that's no, we really don't. Like,
But that's the thing. It's like I think that trend of turning kids' properties to adult properties it feeds into a bigger issue of sort of like I don't know how else to say it, but just like a lot of animated shows nowadays, a lot of cartoons that are supposedly meant for kids are really meant for emotionally stunted adults, right?
yeah,
Uh,
well, yeah. I mean, and
like
listen,
no, and I'm
I'm
serious.
gonna.
And it
I know,
has
but
nothing to do with.
I
Here's the
know, but
thing:
I
it has
want to
nothing to
push
do with
back.
oh, if you
I
watch
want to,
cartoons. Well, no,
but
hold on a second, because it's
no,
not like oh, if
I
you
want to
watch
push back on that. I want to push back because this is something that I talk to others about, like Hero Geek, and you know, when you're criticizing content, don't insult the audience. Unless it's something extremely questionable. But I don't think it's an emotionally stunted adult that like adult cartoons. Right? I think it's just people that appreciate animation or just have a love for it, and they also like adult themed TV shows like Family Guy or Simpsons or. And
sure, but I'm not
that's
talking about
fine.
Family Guy or The Simpsons stuff like that. I'm not
But
talking about that.
well, I
And
know
here's the
there's
thing: The
there's there's certain
Simpsons,
shows out there that are that push the
because
envelope. Right? Yeah.
well, it's not even like Like I'm not even talking about Family Guy or The Simpsons. The Simpsons are clearly just made for adults. Family Guy is clearly
Well,
just made
that's
for.
what we say, but yet lots of kids love love Bart
Well, I
Simpson.
know,
Yeah,
well, of course, because that's mainly because of Bart Simpson. But I
yeah,
get that. But I'm just saying, uh, like I think that. But here's the thing: it's just like I feel like the writers in The Simpsons. I can't speak for modern Simpsons because I stopped watching it. But
yeah. I haven't watched Simpsons in years.
yeah, I haven't watched Simpsons. Yeah, I haven't watched Simpsons in years. But like I feel like the writers in The Simpsons understood what appeals to adults and what appeals to kids, and they were able to write a show that appeals to essentially all ages while still being adult oriented, right?
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
like I
Yeah,
said,
I agree
but
with that.
it's like, and I'm not really talking about like stuff like that. I'm talking about like shows that are they're marketed as for kids, but then there's a lot of stuff that's very much meant for a certain types of adults, and
Right.
it makes you wonder what about this as a kid would I like about this show, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
know,
get you. Yeah, yeah.
and like I'm gonna be real, like you know, Steven Universe. It's like what about like when I was like I think that came out when
You're probably junior high.
I
Well,
want to say I
maybe
was
a
a
little
teenager
younger.
already.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
because that
preteen for
was
sure. You're probably preteen. Yeah.
maybe yeah. When did Steven Universe come out? But my point is that
Battle.
2013. Yeah, I was a teenager. I graduated. Uh, no, I didn't graduate high school. Did I graduate?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
You do.
yeah, I was a teenager. Yeah, came
Yeah.
out in yeah. So it came out when I
Yeah,
was
your brother was a preteen. He was junior high.
he was preteen. So he probably had seen more of the show than I did. But
Yeah.
like watching it then and rewatching it now, it made me think like, what about this? Like,
I mean, watching
what
Steven
what
Universe,
what about
I,
it? What
I
about this
can,
as
I
a
can.
like a boy? What I like about this show?
Well, that's
Like,
what
what
I'm
about
going to
this as like
say. I can see a young boy, let's say 8, 9, and 10, seeing that show and going, "Oh, this is interesting. What's going to happen?" And watching it to see what happens. Right? They see
yeah,
Steven. They're like, "Okay, what's going to happen to Steven? Oh, he ends up trapped somewhere, or he meets this weird friend, or he has this adventure." And I can see why a young boy would like that show initially because they're not processing what we're processing as adults.
oh yeah, that's true.
And so they see colors, they see texture and adventure and whimsical. Now the question is like, would they latch onto it long term? You know, probably not, right? And I think young girls probably watched it more than boys. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
And the same with but like Adventure Time, right? You definitely had a larger male audience, young boys that was watching Adventure Time, right? Why? Well, it's literally called Adventure Time. It's about
yeah,
a young boy who lives in a tree or whatever, tree house with his dog. He has a sword and he gets to
yeah,
cosplay 24/7, and he meets all these weird, strange creatures and people. You know, but yeah, you're gonna watch that. You want to see what's gonna
yeah,
happen, right? Versus Steven Universe, it's definitely leans more female friendly. So I think that's kind of what drove that show was that yeah, there were probably little boys that liked it, but there's probably more girls
yeah.
because
That was that's
more
not really my
female characters.
problem, but it has
No,
more
I
to
know
do
that,
with
but what I'm saying is like it's like you're saying what would be appealing, and it's like yeah, in retrospect, hindsight is 2020. I
yeah,
agree, but it's like, but that's the whole point. It's like what's appealing to them isn't what we're seeing. The problematic dynamic that we're seeing is they're
well,
not seeing,
the funny
and that's
part is
that's
that
why they'll watch it. You know,
the
and
funny
that's
part is that
and
a
that's what
lot
makes
of
it very subversive. You know,
yeah, yeah. Well, the funny part is that a lot of, at least from when I was, working, as a after school teacher and in the school or whatever, it's like a lot of kids didn't really talk about. I only ever met adults that talk about Steven Universe and not kids, you know.
right?
And
Yeah, I agree, and that's my point, right? And most of the people that talk about Steven Universe that I've seen, like posting online or whatever, are
yeah,
generally female. I've yet
yeah,
to see young men or men in general talk about Steven Universe in any detail. Maybe I can think of one or two guys that bring up something about the show, but generally especially positive comments, is almost always female, and that's what I'm saying. But when it comes to
yeah,
Adventure Time, it's always male. Like that's just my observation. It's anecdotal, so take it as you will. But I think but yet the target for both shows is young boys, right? And I think that's
yeah.
kind of what you're getting
Well,
at
what's the
with
thing?
why it's problematic is with Steven Universe is like, yeah, this is targeted to young boys, but it's clearly has an agenda embedded into it, which recently Rebecca Sugar admitted to, right?
Well, I
So,
mean, that wasn't really. I'll be honest, that wasn't really. I feel like that's not really a big reveal. If I'm being
no,
completely
it's
honest.
not, but it's relevant to what you're saying though. It's like that's the whole point. It's like
Well,
you're
it's not
supposed to be
even.
making a show that's for young boys, but you're injecting homosexual and trans themes into it. But it's supposed to be for young boys.
Well, sure, but
Right?
it's
And
not
your
even
main
just.
protagonist is a boy, is a little boy. Right?
Yeah.
That's problematic. That's what I'm saying. That speaks to what you're saying. Is like she pretty much admitted it. Like it's one thing we see it, we know it's happening, but then for the creator or writer to just flat out, yeah, that's what I did.
But I
You know,
also
like,
think about
yeah.
stuff like She-Ra, which is clearly meant for girls. But like I have a
Well,
sister,
yeah. The
and
more
she
recent
never
iteration.
watched.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, the more the reboot. I'm talking about the reboot, obviously. But
Yeah.
but I have a sister, and she didn't watch She-Ra. She watched, was it Troll Hunters, which
Yeah,
was meant more
which is a
for,
great show.
yeah, it's a great show, but that's more meant for, I guess,
So, well, I think
stuff like
Troll
that.
Hunters was a bit mixed because it definitely appealed to boys, but I think
Yeah.
it did have female characters who had agency, and so I think the nature of the storytelling lends itself to both, right?
Well,
Um,
I watched it and it felt like I was watching a kids show, right? But like with She-Ra, it felt like for the little I watched, it felt like I was watching
a soap
The
opera.
Young and the Rest. Yeah, The Young and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Restless, but it's
exactly.
animated.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, this is stupid. Like, what kid? Like, what kid would want to watch this?
right. And that's why the show didn't last very long. It wasn't doing well because
But that's what I'm saying. It's
it
like
wasn't getting
it's
ratings.
not even if it's targeted towards girls,
But
it's not.
it
Clearly
did
not
have
meant
a
for
fan base though.
kids.
It did have a fan base, but
Yeah, and they
guess
were
what?
all adults.
They're all adults. And thank you. That's the point, right? And not that it's inherently bad that you have
No, it's
adult
not
fans,
bad.
but if the show is really intended for a younger audience, then why present these types
But
of themes
once
into it?
again,
Right? You understand?
think about a show like SpongeBob, right? And I brought this up before. As a kid, you relate to SpongeBob, but as
Yeah.
an adult, you relate to Squidward,
Yeah.
right? So there's something the
And
show
even
is
Mr. Krabs.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So the writing has been engineered in a way to where, as a kid, you could latch on to the show, and as an adult, there's something you could appreciate about. Same thing with The Simpsons, right? The Simpsons. When you're a kid watching The Simpsons, the main character is Bart Simpson, but when you're an adult, it's Homer, right? That's
Right.
sort of the
Right.
genius of the writing of the show, right?
Sure.
You do
Sure.
the same
Yeah.
thing with King of the Hill. When I was a kid watching, I related to Bobby
Right.
because and when you're an adult, you relate to Hank Hill. There's nothing really about a lot of I don't know a lot of the shows. Like if they're trying to make it so where like someone could grow up watching it, it's like you don't really have that dynamic. Maybe Steven Universe does. Greg's a pretty good dad, all things considered. But
Which one?
I said maybe Steven Universe. I was gonna say Steven's dad's pretty decent guy, all things considered, in the show.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
but uh, but outside of that, it's nothing. It's nothing really. There's nothing. Like a lot of these shows don't have that. They don't have the juice. They don't have the juice.
They don't have the juice. Yeah, that's hopefully, I think we'll see that again. It just, but yeah, there's been kind of a dearth. Now there's certain shows like Has Been Hotel and a few others that are out.
Sure, but
Um,
that's
they're
actually
still
just for
adult.
adults,
They're still yeah, they're adult oriented, like wholly adult. Like they're not meant for younger audience at all, which is fascinating. There's a huge drive and demand, I guess, for adult animation. That goes beyond just
Oh yeah, Hazbin
the
Hotel,
sitcom formula.
Digital Circus.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
few other
and
ones that come to mind.
yeah, yeah. So it's that's fine. And
That I don't
but
have a problem with,
the
but
problem
it's
is when you introduce these adult themes into what is supposed to be children's content, right?
yeah,
And that's where it becomes problematic and quite subversive, really.
yeah. Like I don't have a problem with adults watching cartoons clearly made for adults. I don't have a problem with adults watching cartoons in general, even stuff that's made for I still watch SpongeBob. I love SpongeBob, but like it's when it's like you start to notice which shows that are, like I said, are marketed to kids, but are very much meant for adults, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like what does a kid have to latch onto this? It's so
right.
it's so
Yeah,
weird.
yeah. It is. It's disturbing to be honest. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, leave the kids alone. Uh, give them great content and fun. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with Super Galactic Fantastic Dimension. It's for all ages. It's for everybody. You're not going to have questionable themes and all this nonsense. You're just going to have a great, compelling story full of adventure and action and maybe a little bit of comedy as well. And it's something that we hope that it'll appeal to a broad audience, to everyone. So it's something you can sit down and read with your kids or your nieces and nephews, and something you can enjoy on your own as well.
Yeah, I think
So
that's the thing that they don't. A lot of companies don't think about is that it's the adults that buy the stuff, and if and even if it's stuff that like if 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 it's something that I grew up with, then I'm gonna share it with my son because that's what you did to me. Things that you grew up with, you share it with me, and now I like
right,
the thing. So
right, right,
if I'm introduced to something as a kid and I don't like it, I'm not gonna share it with my kids because I don't like the
right,
thing,
right,
right?
of course, yeah.
But it's like
But you
I
have to
don't.
understand the goal with shows like a Steven Universe and others isn't so you can grow up and share it with your kids necessarily. It's to propagandize you while you're a kid. And that's the whole. It's a very short-sightedness to it. It has nothing to do with longevity of the show or some type of legacy, right? It has to do with this is the now, and I want to put this message in now, right? And that's it, you know. Um, and that's part of the issue, the problem as well. It's like, yeah, it's very short-sighted. So then it doesn't lend itself to creating something that's robust that can stand the test of time and create real fans, and and have longevity. Right? So it's unfortunate, but it's hopefully though with these particular shows, they'll be thrown in the dustbin of history, right? And be forgotten. To be perfectly honest, because they're probably doing more damage than good. You but yeah, that's all I have for today. I don't know if you have any other points you wanted to make.
I mean, no. I mean, I talked about what I wanted to talk about. So,
Yeah, so we appreciate your time today. Thanks for checking us out and hanging with us. And tell us, what do you think about this whole Robert Kirkman doing a series with Transformers and GI Joe, making it in the vein of Invincible? Like, tell us your thoughts, and feel free to comment even after the stream. We read all your comments, so we love to
and then
hear from you and hear your opinion.
yeah, and let us know if there's any other movies or shows you want us to talk about. I know Mecha Missionary, you've been bugging us about Common Rider, and I'm sorry.
I
I
was gonna,
actually meant to
oh,
watch the new
yeah,
Common Rider today.
yeah, that's what I was gonna
Uh,
say. And I appreciate you, Mecha Missionary. We're gonna
yeah,
watch it and talk about
yeah,
it.
but it looks cool,
So,
and I like
yeah,
Common Rider.
yeah,
So
we're definitely gonna do the new series. Like, maybe hopefully this week we'll have time and we can watch it, and then we can talk about it next week. Because yeah, I want to check it out anyway. So yeah, we need to do that, and we
yeah,
appreciate you bringing it up. So thanks for that. And you see, there's a barcode on the screen at the top left. Feel free to scan that if you're on your phone. It goes to our website, and there you can get. If you sign up to our email list, you can get a free 12-page full color comic of a short story featuring Alphatron. So definitely check us out. Check out the comic. And if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, there's my first book, which is called Fantastic Dimension Alphatron. That was my first foray into the comic space and writing my story. And it's free on Global Comics if you want to check it out. Just click the link and it'll take you right there. Feel free to check that out. I'm in the process of rewriting that, and I'm going to re-illustrate it as well and publish that. So because what we're doing is exploring the origins of not only Alphatron but several key characters in this world. So the Alphatron origins is in the works right now. We have artists creating some beautiful art for us and doing the interiors. And so my goal is to get more of that done, get the book as close to finished as possible before launching. So, and in the meantime, we've had some setbacks here and there in our personal lives. I've had things I had to deal with at home with uh, roof leaking and plumbing issues. Life
Yeah.
it just gets in the way of creativity and fun, right? So that's part of the reason why we haven't launched yet, and I apologize for that. And hope you guys will understand. And the goal right now is to hopefully launch after the new year and do a fresh campaign for Alcatron Origins. Hopefully by then with a finished book. And so yeah, that's what's in the works right now. Um, look to our account at the Alphatron on X, where I'll be sharing some of those interiors. Hopefully in the next few weeks, once I have more finished pages to share. And yeah, that's where we are. So we're still moving forward. We're plucking away, and we're going to get this launched and get it going, and give you guys something you can get excited about, have fun with, and share with your family and friends. So once again, thanks for checking us out, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Have a super galactic Saturday.
We'll see you around.